Physiology. Physiology is the study of the functions and processes that occur within living organisms, from molecules to entire systems. So generally, physiology is a branch of medicine that's trying to describe how body works and the processes that are taking place within that living organisms. Because generally we have molecules, and those molecules we classify them as monomers, macromolecules, and supramolecular complexes. So macromolecules are molecules that have high molecular weight, and examples of them we have proteins, lipid, carbohydrate, and nucleic acid. So generally the functions of each and every living organisms is starting from molecules, because these macromolecules are the ones that are responsible for the forming a complete functional cell. And of course, the functions of a particular cell depend on the types of the proteins that are produced or expressed in that specific types of cell. Like for example, we know that the physiology of red blood cells is to transport oxygen, and that is due to the proteins, that is the molecules that are present in the red blood cells, which is hemoglobin. And of course, the white blood cells are responsible for preventing body against infections. It protects the body against foreign organisms. So generally, the white blood cells are doing that due to the presence of immunoglobulins, that is antibodies, that are trying to protect the body against the foreign organisms. So, and that functions of the white blood cells the presence of is due to the presence of the proteins, which is immunoglobulins. So therefore, in physiology, you are trying to study how molecules are related to the entire systems of living organisms, and that is why physiology and biochemistry, they are integrated and they are very, very important. Without understanding biochemistry, it will be very difficult to understand physiology, because physiology is like biochemistry is like the language of physiology. Because in biochemistry we are trying to study life using molecules. So in physiology we are trying to integrate how the molecules form a cell, how the molecules are related to the functions of the cells and to the entire organism. So physiology is very, very important and is one of the tripods in the area of medicine. Without understanding or without physiology, there is no medicine. So therefore, the entire system, we have like 9 systems of a living organism, and living organisms like human, which include digestive system, immune system, digestive system, endocrine system, skeletal system. These are the types of the systems that are mainly or that are found in humans. And of course, you can study all these systems starting from the molecules to cellular levels, organs levels, and up to the level of the system. So that is why it is very, very interesting to understand biochemistry and physiology at the same time. So the three major tripod of medicine include physiology, biochemistry, and anatomy. So the next thing is the branches of physiology, starting with cellular physiology, which studies cell functions and signaling. And of course, we know that cell is the structural and the functional unit of life. And without a cell, there is no life. So everything that is actually taking place in a living organisms are controlled by the cell. So cell is the structural and the functional unit of life. If there is a problem with a cell, there is an entire problem with the organ, and there is also an entire problem with the tissue as well as the living organisms. And of course, cellular signaling is very, very important, because between cells to cells in the human body they are communicating. So cellular signaling is like a system that actually have a cells to communicate with one another, and this communication require receptor and a ligand. A ligand is a molecule that always binds to a receptor. So chemical messengers relay the signals using a ligand and a receptor. So generally, ligand bind to the receptor and then now amplify and send a communication or and send a messages to the cells itself or to a nearby cells, because it depend on the types of the signaling molecules. That is why we have endocrine system, exocrine system, and autocrine molecules. So most of those molecules, they are ligands, so they bind to receptors, send messages across the cells, they communicate with one another, and then responses. So there must be a ligand bind to the receptor, send the signaling message, or send the communication, and then the cell will respond. So that is why it is it is very important to understand that cells is very important, and also their communication, because sometimes we respond to situation, we respond to problem, we respond to stimulus based on the signaling system. Like for example, if there is any foreign organism that get into your body and the body wanted to produce immunity against that particular foreign bodies, of course there must be communication across the cells for the cells to know that what types of specific antibodies or responses need to be actually relayed for the foreign substances to be eliminated. So that is why we need to understand that a cellular physiology is very important, and whenever you have a problem with understanding the concept of cell, you have the entire problem with understanding biochemistry and physiology, because cell is the structural and the functional unit of life. If you have problem with the liver cells, so there will be an injury, and this injury can be reversible cellular injury or irreversible cellular injury. And of course, in many cases, the irreversible cellular injury leads to cellular death. And whenever there is a death of a cell, it means that there will be a problem of the tissue that produce or that formed by that cells. So the next thing is neurophysiology. So neurophysiology examines the nervous system and the brain function. And of course, we know that in neurophysiology, nervous system and brain function is very important, because the nervous system and the nervous system is one of the major communicating system in the body. We have endocrine system and nervous system. They are the coordinating system, where messages are actually controlled by the nervous system and the brain itself. So in neurophysiology, we examined the nervous system and the brain function. And of course, we know that the brain is the master organ that controls almost all the activities of the human system. And of course, in the nervous system, we also have some very important molecules which are called neurotransmitters that always relay message across the nerve cells. We call them neurocytes. That is the cells that are found on the nervous system. So the next branch of physiology is cardiovascular physiology, which investigates heart and blood vessel function. So cardiovascular physiology is one of the branch of physiology. We also call it cardiology, which try to investigate the functions of the heart and the blood vessels. And of course, we know that these blood vessels, we have three major blood vessels that are found in human. We have artery, capillaries, and vein. So these arteries, these blood vessels, they are major transporters of the blood across different organs. And the next one is respiratory physiology, which explores lung function and gas exchange. Of course, in the renal physiology is one of the branch of physiology that respiratory physiology is one of the branch of physiology that trying to actually understand the function of the lung and the gas exchange. And of course, we know that we as human, we take oxygen and we take out carbon dioxide. So in respiratory physiology, we are trying to study both the gas exchange and the lung function. And of course, we know that in each and every minute as human, we have a maximum amount of oxygen that we actually take, although it depends on the types of, or it depends on the humans, because the respiratory system can vary across individuals. Someone can actually get in oxygen about like 100 in minute, some 70. So it depends on the body system. So respiratory physiology is also one of the branch of physiology that is very very important and central to understanding the human body. And of course, this is very interesting area of physiology where it also associated with so many diseases. Then the next one is renal physiology. So renal physiology studies kidney functions and urine production. And of course, generally in human we have two kidneys, one support each other, and although human can support or can survive with one kidney. And then so in renal physiology we are trying to study the kidney function and urine formation. And urine formation involves so many steps, which involve starting from filtration, reabsorption, excretion, and so many other steps. So we have four major steps that involve in urine production. And of course, the major structural and the functions of the kidney is nephrons. So each and every activities of the kidney are controlled by the nephrons, and these nephrons has so many different parts, which include Bowman's capsules, which include distal convoluted tubules, proximal convoluted tubules, lobe of Hell's, lobe of Hellis. All these are the different organs that are found on the nephrons, and the nephrons is where exactly the urine are formed. Although when we actually excrete the, or when our body trying to remove uh, waste substances from the kidney, we actually remove the substances with so many different components, and the component of the urine include blood and some important minerals. And although we have to filter all the important nutrients like salts and blood, water, we need to reabsorb them. And that is why in the process of in blood urine production, the first step is filtration. You have to filter out all the needed materials by the body. And then the next one is gastrointestinal physiology. We call it GIT, which examines digestion and nutrient absorption. So generally in human body, we have what we call gastrointestinal tract, where the digestion and the nutrient absorption take place. And although we have some important molecules that are digested by the body, which include carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids, and although all these different macromolecules are digested by different enzymes. Like for example, let's actually briefly look at the digestion of carbohydrates, which started in the mouth, controlled by salivary alpha amylase, commonly known as ptyalin. So it is controlled, or it is digested first by the salivary alpha amylase in the mouth, which is actually a basic medium, or somehow around neutral medium. So of course the enzymes salivary alpha amylase is really act maximally at a minimum at an alkaline pH. Also, the digestion of protein started from the stomach, which is actually controlled by two major enzymes, trypsin and pepsinogen, or trypsin and pepsin. Although the digestion of lipid also started from the what you call small intestine. So the digestion of these macromolecules are controlled by different enzymes. So then the next one is endocrine physiology. So in the endocrine physiology, it investigates hormones regulation. So what are hormones? So we need to understand that hormones are chemical messengers that bring about coordination, and they are endocrine. When we say endocrine, it means that they are produced in one part of the body and then secreted and transported to different part of the body and elicit their function. And although the 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 places in the human body where these hormones are produced, they are called glands, and we have so many of the example of this gland. We have thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, we have so many of them. So these hormones, they are produced by the body and elicit their functions elsewhere. They are not actually elicit their function at exactly where they are at exactly where they are produced. So that is what you call endocrine physiology. And then the next one is muscular skeletal physiology. So muscular skeletal physiology studies muscles and bone function. So bone functions and and although muscles function is a major part of muscular skeletal physiology, which actually involve the skeletal system, and we know that in this part of physiology, this is where we are going to know the number of bones produced from the child up to their level of adult stage. The number of ones that are produced in the child are actually uh, greater than the number of ones that are there in the adult, and this is due to, of course, the ossification of bones where one or two bones joined together to form one. So in although we know that skeletal system is a bony framework of the body, it protects us. So understanding it is very, very important. Then the next branch of physiology is immunology, which examines immune system function. So when we said immune system is a system that always trying to protect us from any foreign substances that can cause danger. And of course, we have two types of immune system. We have innate immunity and we have adaptive immunity. So generally, innate immunity is a first line of defense where so many cells are actually explore are very important in trying to protect the body against any foreign organisms. Examples of the cells that are found in the innate immunity include macrophages, dendritic cells, eosinophil, neutrophil, and phagocyte. So all these are the examples of the innate immune cells that always trying to protect your body from any foreign substances before it gets to the level of adaptive immune system. So innate immune system is a first line of defense, and then the next one is adaptive immune system. Adaptive immune system is a system that actually trying to protect the body against any foreign substances, and it is usually more specific than innate immune system. So innate immune system is non-specific while adaptive immune system is specific, because we have B cells and T cells. So B cells are the cells that produce antibodies that are specific to the antigen presented by the what you call the foreign organism. So they have antigen presenting cells, and of course in humans we have antibodies producing cells, and then we have T cells. So B cells and T cells are very, very important cells that actually produce immunoglobulins, which is antibodies, and of course they have memory cells, because once the antibodies is produced against a specific antigens antigens of a particular parasite, that antibodies will remain in the blood, and of course for the subsequent infection that antibodies will remain in the blood and it can just easily mount immune response against the parasite. You don't need to produce it because it is already there in the blood. Although it depends on the types of immune system. Some immune system have a specific life. Some antibodies have a specific lifespan in the blood, while some they have longer. Some have a shorter lifespan. So it is very very important to understand that immune system, it is one of the interesting area of physiology. And in fact, if you lack understanding the concept of immune system in physiology, it means that you will have a problem with understanding the entire area of medicine. So immunology, it is